there. This is Tia Renee Scott, aka Tia the Writer, and I'm a freelance writer from Flint, Michigan. This is a short little intro before we get into my interview with David Weaver, aka Soopa Dave. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Soopa Dave, he's a radio personality from Marietta, Georgia, and he moved to Flint in the mid to late 90s to work at 92.7 WDZZ, our local radio station. Now, when he was there, he played rap music, which was very rare for that station. They only really played R&B and throwback jams, pretty similar to what they play today. But back then, playing rap was pretty rare, and that drew all the teens and the young adults and all the millennials. And we were tuned in every time he hit the airwaves. We participated, we called, we messed with him. We really listened to that show from beginning to end for as long as he was on the air. Now, it was my idea, so just kind of call him up and say thank you. Not only just from me, but from Flint. Like, let him know that he really did leave us with some great memories, and that we still remember that show to this day. We were tuned in at 6 o'clock. We still do the theme song at 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, it's time for Soopa Dave to rock. I just wanted to give him his flowers while he can smell them. This is the year of the roses. Like, we have to let the people that have made great impacts in our lives and in our cities, let them know that they're appreciated. So that's what I did with this interview, and I hope you enjoy. Now, without further ado, let's hop into it, and thank you.
All right. Now, what's your real name? I'm sorry, I always knew you as Soopa Dave.
Okay, so my real name is David Weaver.
Okay.
That's funny saying that for the first time. David Weaver would be my real name.
How did you come?
And I've been Soopa Dave for probably. Okay, so I was named by a dude named DJ Nabs. He was Crisscross's DJ. They look. Jermaine Dupri's Crisscross had a dope little group back in the day. And their DJ was named DJ Nabs. And he named me Soopa Dave.
They just named you Soopa Dave.
Well, I was doing the most. I was an intern. I was young in the building. I was trying to get my little jobs thing started. I was in college, all of that. So I was left and right, running up down the stairs. Somebody needed coffee, change, trash. You needed something out of your car, I would go down and get it. I was just all over the place. And so he called me that to be funny, but, it kind of stuck because at the time I didn't have a name for DJing. I had no name for that.
Okay. He picked a great name, honestly. Cool. All right. So basically, I want to have this interview with you to just ask you some questions. I feel like a representative for like all the kids in Flint that were tuning in, listening to you. Like, I'm that one kid that caught Santa coming in, and now I got questions, So, yeah, man. I'm just gonna get started. Like, how are you today?
Shit. My grad work. Nah, you all right? That's my coworker. He doing calisthenics, and he get himself together. Yeah. Okay. But what got me started in the music industry, probably in the radio industry, was just the infatuation I had with a DJ that was in a local area of mine, and he used to get on the radio early in the morning and do all these sorts of shout outs, but he was on a college station, and his radio wasn't real radio. It was just kind of like college play around radio. But anyway, he let me come up there and do some stuff, and I just fell in love with the concept. And then I wrote about 10 to 15 essays to Ryan Cameron, who was like a really hot DJ in Atlanta at the time, and they ended up letting me come to the radio station, and I just kind of, grew from there. They let me in the door, and I never left.
Okay. Now, was that in Georgia or was that in Michigan?
Yeah, that was in Atlanta, Georgia. I was born in Marietta, Georgia. So I kind of, from being from there, it's just, you go to where you go. But then being in there, I kind of ran into people who had just gotten to that radio station from Detroit. They were working in promotions. They were working in sales. And they mentioned as to how they needed a DJ up in Detroit. And I was very young at the time. So it wasn't nothing that was, you know, up in the air for me. But then they kind of, time went by. I had got a little older. And then that opportunity came up again. But it was in Flint this time. And so I took that job in Flint, Michigan, and it was real good for me. I loved it.
Okay. So were you actually at 92.7? Like were you living in Flint, or were you broadcasting from Georgia?
I was living in Flint, Michigan on Mackin Avenue.
Okay.
Mackin Avenue. You familiar with that? Mackin Avenue off of I can't even remember what the street was, but it was Hurley. It was near Hurley Hospital. Okay. Yeah. So I lived there. I literally lived in the city. Had a great time. It was wonderful. I lived like really close to downtown. It was nice.
That's cool. That's cool. Did you ever go out in the city? Like you went to clubs?
Oh yeah. So, you know, my whole reason for being there was to try to turn the nightlife into an Atlanta version of, you know what I mean? I was really trying to bring the sound of Atlanta to Detroit. That's what I was trying to do. So I did. I went out a lot. I went to Beavers. There was a couple of clubs on Clio that I went to. I remember DJ Sean, DJ Hollywood. There was a lot of little spaces that had no names because y'all did a lot of bootleg, a lot of, you know what I mean? A lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of after hours, yeah.
So it was a lot of clubs that didn't have no name at all.
Do you remember Bump It or Dump It on your show?
Oh, yes. Bump It or Dump It. I do. I don't do anything like that no more because it just caused too much. It caused too much drama. But it was hot in Flint.
It was hot. It was hot. My homeboy just reminded me. He was like, "Remember, people would call in and say your mama, like, bump it or dump it, your mama. You know what? Y'all ain't gonna keep calling."
And then hang up. And then they hang up. They call, we'd be like, "Who you with? Bump it or dump it? Your mama ugly." And it was so harsh. It was so harsh. But
it was harsh, but that stuck with us. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Yeah, no, it was funny. You know, it's crazy because I always had an opportunity to edit those things out, but I knew the people of the city enjoyed that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I know they did.
Yeah.
And so it was always my style of radio to leave that kind of thing in there. So yeah.
Yeah, man, that added humor to the show, and I think that's why we all tuned in every time you were on.
Right.
I just, you know, you're a staple still to this day. Like I remember, I was back in Flint visiting my cousin. I'm like, "Hey, what time is it right now?" And it was so happened to be 6 o'clock, and we both kind of looked at each other and it's like, "It's 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock." Like, and we're in our late 30s. We was like, like,
that's great. That's so good.
You left your mark on the city. Like other radio personalities, they also had their, 6 o'clock is time to rock versions as well. Like we still carry that on to this day.
That's really cool. That's cool because, one of the things that, you go to a city, you don't know nobody, you don't know anything. You just go, you just hope that people like you. You know what I'm saying? You hope that you can get in. Back then, when I first moved there, I was not aware that MC Breed was from there. I was not aware that Top Authority was from there. I was not aware that what's the other cat name who was really big in a national sense? Jake the Flake. You remember Jake the Flake?
Yeah.
Jake the Flake was an artist that was big all over the nation.
Yeah.
And nobody really, you know what I mean? Nobody knew where he came from or where he was from or any of that. Nobody knew any of that. It wasn't until I moved to Flint, Michigan that I realized, damn, Flint is popping with the music, bro.
Yeah.
Flint is popping.
Yeah. Yep. Still.
Because Bree was like Tupac's man. You know what I'm saying? Bree was Tupac's man all day. So that pushed you all the way out on the West Coast. And then you had people like the Top Authority clique that was really just down with that whole Houston set, the whole Texas and Houston and Jay Prince and all that. You know what I mean? Them boys was big money, man. Big money boys.
Dating family, all that.
Right. That was like, whoa. Nobody knew that because they didn't scream Flint, Flint, Flint. Not in the records. But that was hood records. I was in Atlanta listening to FBI and Top Authority and Dave Family before I went to Michigan. So then to live on the same street as those boys and go to do parties with them and all of that, it was real cool, man. My cousins couldn't even, believe that that's who I was partying with. So it was real influential. And they had turned me on to the fact that, when you go to a new city, that there is all kinds of music that exists within that city that you could dig into and really turn up on. And so I've been doing it ever since then. So those are the things that Flint kind of taught me just in general. You know what I'm saying? About the industry that I'm still in today. You feel me?
Man, that's amazing. That's amazing to hear. All right. How old were you when you were doing the show in Flint?
24. I suppose I had pictures for you, man. I forgot. 24.
24.
5, 26, 24 to 27.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I always wanted to know that. A lot of us, we never even knew how you looked. We just, you were just the enigma.
I blended though. I blended so well. You would not know. I blended.
Wow.
I went straight to the hood. I lived in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
I rollerbladed. The weirdest thing that I did, because I didn't know how to really get around in that snow, I rollerbladed like crazy throughout the summer months because I missed the summer. The summer was so much shorter in Flint. When I got there, it was so much shorter of a season that when I got my chance and the summer came, I rollerbladed like a crazy man. And a lot of people started to realize that from here, he must not be. You know what I'm saying? That's when it happened in the summertime, when they started to see my Atlanta come out. You know what I mean? But before that, it was really just particularly, I was ducked off and I matched with what was going on. I found guys that was in the studio. I found DJs that was like mine, and really I just went to work and I went to the club and I blended in real well, but I didn't stick out that much because I wasn't loud. I wanted to be right. I didn't want to be wrong. I wanted to make sure I sat back and watched what was going on. Plus it was a lot of murders. It was a lot of killing. Flint was bad on violence. And so it was like, I'm going mind my business, what I'm gonna do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's basically what you're gonna do. Yeah. I always told my mom every time I went out, she's like, you better be careful out there. They shooting people out there. I'm like, look, I ain't going where they shooting. Like, I'm don't worry about me. But
right. But yeah, that was that was one of the things that I just did. I minded my business. I didn't go out that much, and I went out a lot because that's where we worked at the club, but I didn't stand out. People didn't know, that it was a different thing.
Tell me about Moochie Mack, man. I want to know.
All right. So Moochie Mack, I had before I came there, I was really close with Ludacris.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Ludacris was really close because he was at another radio station across from mine. I was at the rival radio station, and we were both young, trying to get in the radio at the same time, trying to make things happen. And we kind of made a pact that, you know, we would help each other out, help each other do what we was trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Like if you on the verge of something, you need some help, let me know, bro. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, and vice versa for him too. And so what ended up happening was he called that first song that he did, Fat Rabbit, I think it was called, some shit like that. That was a song where Timbaland had came to the city and kicked it around. We met him, did a little writing, and it popped off for bro, and I was real happy. So when it came time for me to have did something, I did a little commercial for Nextel. Nextel was really hopping at the time. At that time, Nextel's first city was Detroit. So Flint had all of the brand new Nextel phones. the beep, 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 the one you push on the side, the beep, beep. Flint had them bitches first. Whoa. When I tell you we would run around there giving away them phones. Whoa. So one of the things that I did, I got cool with one of the executives at Nextel, Sprint, whatever. I made a commercial because I was always doing stuff like that in Atlanta with Chris. We was always putting together jingles for companies, not so much as songs, but jingles for companies. And so I put together a jingle for Nextel using Timbaland's instrumental from Aaliyah. And Are You That Somebody was the name song anyway, that they ended up purchasing that from me and from WDZZ and ended up buying that sponsorship with Timbaland connected in that whole deal. At the end of the day, it got me a record deal.
Oh.
Right. I had no intentions on rapping, but they finna steal the station. So what am I about to do?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I kind of wrote 10 more songs to go with that one. And I caught a record deal. Decided to use the record deal to kind of buy me time to get back on the radio in Atlanta because I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was going to go to Houston, Dallas, go to Columbus, Ohio, and that's where I ended up going next. But wrote the album so that I could get into the music industry and hopefully try to catch some flame from that. Ended up linking up with Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, and the Moochie Mack caught a thing and became a thing. So after that, you know, I kind of, was like the real strong reasoning for me to move out of Flint, because Moochie Mack was about to take off, and basically that's my daddy's name. Moochie is my dad's name, so I just took it and ran with it. But all my producers, all my music, all of everything we did for that album, we sold, I think we sold close to 80,000 units in Flint, and then we left Flint and sold almost like 600,000. So because we went gold with the album, so we did all of that. Everything that came on that album, everything came from Flint, Michigan. All of that.
Wow.
Yeah, that whole album came from Flint, Michigan.
I want to check it out.
All the recording, all of the artists. Dude named Phelan. Phelan Green or Phelan something. He was Phelan Thomas. Phelan somebody out there. Phelan somebody out there in Flint, Michigan. But he put some tracks on the album. You know, we had a good little run, man. It was dope.
That's cool. I want to check it out. For real.
Yeah.
That's cool. And that's a smart decision too, going ahead and taking the deal, you know, while you deciding to, you know, either kind of go towards the music industry or the radio. Like, it's kind of like, like, that's cool.
Yep.
All right. So, I also want to touch on the fact that your show, like a lot of your audience was like either teenagers, like early teenagers, or like young adults. But I feel like your show introduced a lot of us to the Quiet Storm music that would come after your show, because your show came on at night. And afterwards, they would, you know, start playing like the Anita Baker, you know, the Sade, you know, the Whispers and all that. And
y'all, it was a throwback station when I got there. It was a sleepy throwback ass station. You know? It really was. It was a sleepy situation.
Oh,
they let me do it. And you know, those numbers that I had, you know, it was crazy, but those numbers that I got rating wise in the city, I've never come close to anything like that before.
Wow.
Or after, since then. You know, we talking like 41% of the city listening to one person at the same time. Those are like high numbers.
Yeah.
You know, you know what I'm saying? 41% of the city. That's almost half the city. Everybody else listen to country or something else, but if you black, you listen to me. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It was crazy.
Yeah, no, you woke 92.7 up, man. You woke that station up. And you know, like I said, you introduced us to a whole other genre of music. Like I wasn't listening to Anita Baker in my 13, 14. I just wasn't. But you know, we would listen to your show. We would just leave the radio going. You know, we still talking about your show and Anita Baker trying to put us to sleep back there, but we listening. You know, so I thank you for that, man. You really are embedded in a lot of our upbringing, man. Like we'll never forget you for that.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. And I did a lot of good work too in the community. We did a lot of stuff with the Boys Club. We did a lot of stuff. We gave away a lot of clothes and money. It's just a lot of good stuff that I was already doing in Atlanta that was never being done before in that town. And so shouts out to Flint, man. Flint made me a good person because y'all had a lot going on and I could have went left, but I went in the right direction. In
the right direction.
So shout out to Flint. Surely. Shouts out to Flint, Michigan, man, for sure. I never forget that place. Did good for me, man. Good numbers.
For real. All right. So I honestly don't want to keep you on too long because you've answered all my questions. Is there something else that you would like to talk about? Do you have any memories?
One of the things that I wanted to do is, you know, anybody that watches this, I want y'all to know that I'm still down in the underground music, still looking for those artists that are out there trying to get their stuff on the radio, get their stuff to the next level. Speakerbaux.com, SPEAKERBAUX.com is a very special website to me. It's something that was kind of birthed because of the problems that I was having at WDZZ when I could not play that Top Authority record. I couldn't play that new Jake the Flake record. I couldn't play that new record from boys that was around the corner whom I knew that the entire city was either kin to them or knew them and would support them. But the station, however, just would not be with it. And so, you know, I built this particular kind of platform so that I could still do this type of deal. And so I definitely want y'all, if you're a rapper, you're an artist out there, y'all looking to get into the industry, trying to get piped up. Internet-wise, you already know that's where it's at these days. So make sure y'all checking into the website, speakerbaux.com. And it'll basically give you a chance to hear some of the music that's out there and give you a chance for me to be able to spread you around in some more towns and some more cities. But other than that, man, I just thank y'all, Flint, for, you know, holding me down, inspiring me and getting me good. You feel me?